राइबोसोम्स का मैंने कल बेसिक इंट्रोडक्शन दिया था अबाउट what are ribosomes. So they are protein factories because they are involved in the process of protein synthesis. So now the one sentence which is given, like the ribosomes use the genetic information to synthesize the proteins. To explain this particular point, I had told you something about the central dogma. Now, what is central dogma? Central dogma is a kind of universally accepted rule, you can say, or a law, which says that DNA DNA has a large number of genes. These genes are then converted into mRNA by the process of transcription, and this transcripted mRNA then can be used to synthesize a particular protein using ribosomes, and the process is called as translation. So this is a basic of the protein synthesis by ribosomes. Okay, and that's why they use the word the genetic information, because whatever proteins are synthesized by the ribosomes are actually encoded by the DNA. So जो DNA के पास जो जीन रहेगा वही प्रोटीन से बनेगा. There are always the chances that, so this is something interesting. So by some or other way or some kind of mutation हो जाता है. So let's say there is a person X और उसके पास कोई तो जीन है which encodes for a protein known as insulin. Insulin is a protein involved in a glucose metabolism, और अगर इंसुलिन नहीं रहेगा तो डेफिनेटली द पर्सन विल बी डायबिटिक. तो हम लोग ने सुना रहेगा, सब लोगों ने, डायबिटीज है, that person is not supposed to eat a lot of sugars and all. So there are multiple regulations for such things. But let's say अगर कोई पर्सन जिसका, सो देर आर टू पीपल एक्स एंड वाई, जो वाई है उसका नॉर्मली सब प्रोटीन जो डीएनए है दैट इज वर्किंग फाइन, द जीन इज एनकोडेड बाय द जीन इज एनकोडिंग इंसुलिन, और हम लोग को एमआरएनए मिलता है और फाइनली इंसुलिन बनता है. बट जो एक्स है, लेट्स से उसके पास जो इंसुलिन का जीन है, इट इज नॉट अ प्रॉपर जीन एंड हैविंग सम काइंड ऑफ म्यूटेशन. अगर म्यूटेशन मतलब क्या, देर आर समथिंग विच इज नॉट सेम एज द नॉर्मल वन, मतलब कुछ तो चेंजेस हो गए हैं बिकॉज ऑफ विच द प्रोटीन विच इज नाउ सिंथेसाइज्ड फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर जीन इज नॉट अ प्रॉपर प्रोटीन, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट विल नॉट नाउ हेल्प इन एनी फंक्शन, और वो अपना काम नहीं करेगा. एंड दैट पर्टिकुलर इंसुलिन विच इज प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय सच वी कैन से abnormal kind of gene will not be of any use. So that's why this genetic information plays a very important role whenever there is a protein synthesis process. Okay, and then I had told you something about the discovery of this particular ribosome. So we all know now it was a Palade who had discovered these particular particles using the electron microscopic technique in a year 1953. And then if we go by structure, so structurally the ribosomes are like a two subunit structure, but overall both the structures are composed of two important components, that is the ribosomal RNA, also called as rRNA, and proteins. Okay, so whenever someone asks you the question what is the composition of a ribosome, so you should be able to answer it is a ribosomal RNA and the protein. Okay, and the very important point which we had discussed in the last lecture, which is highlighted here, that these particular organelles do not have any kind of membrane. So these are not a membrane bound kind of organelle. So this is one of the important feature of a ribosome. Okay, then let's begin now the next part of like how, what is a typical function of ribosomes and what are the forms in which these ribosomes are actually present in a cell. Okay, so ribosomes can be present in both prokaryotes and the eukaryotic cell. As you had told me very correctly in the last lecture कि जो ribosomes prokaryotes में present होते हैं they are 70S type, and जो eukaryotes में होते हैं they are 80S type. तो इन eukaryotic cells, तो mainly जब हम लोग prokaryotes की बात करते हैं तो ribosomes are mainly present in a cytoplasm only, because there are no well developed or no membrane bound organelles as such. तो उनके पास कुछ होता ही नहीं, it's just a cell covering, एक न्यूक्लियोइड रीजन, एंड बाकी सब तो साइटोप्लाज्म में रहता है. सो इन सच केसेस, इन केस ऑफ प्रोकैरियोट्स, द राइबोसोम्स आर प्रेजेंट ओनली इन अ साइटोप्लाज्म. But in case of eukaryotic cells, where we are having a many well developed membrane bound organelles, The ribosomes are present in different places. So it can be present in the mitochondria. It can also be present in the plastids and cytoplasm में तो present होने ही हैं. So when these ribosomes are present, they are actually present in a cell in a two different forms. What are these two different forms now? It can be either present in a free state, like without any attachment to any other membrane or any other organelle, in a free state, कि जो कि cytoplasm में present होते हैं, or it can be present in a bound state. So something, if you remember, in case of endoplasmic reticulum, we were having two different types. What were the two types of endoplasmic reticulum? Raise your hand. Yes, Ajinkya.
Rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth
Yes.
endoplasmic reticulum.
So rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. That's the correct answer. And why we are classifying them in a rough and smooth? Because the rough one is having the ribosomes attached to the outer surface, whereas
Yeah.
these ribosomes are absent in case of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So giving the example only, I would like to explain you the free and the bound state. So in a cytoplasm, as I mentioned, they are present in a free state and they can be involved in different processes like synthesis of different enzymes or different proteins which are required in a cytoplasm. तो जो भी proteins and all हम लोग को cytoplasm में जरूरत पड़ती है, that can be synthesized by this free cytoplasmic ribosomes basically. Okay. But apart from this, these ribosomes are also attached to the outer surface of the endoplasmic reticulum and the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is the membrane which actually surrounds the nucleus. Okay. But all this kind of ribosomes which are present in a free state or in a bound state, most of them, like all of them, are ATS type. Only the ribosomes which are present inside the mitochondria and the plastids are 70S type. Okay. So all of these are ATS type basically, जो कि free state में है या bound state में है, and they have a two subunits which are known as the large subunit of a ribosome and the small subunit of a ribosome. Okay, so sometimes, like as I mentioned कि हाँ जो साइटोप्लाज्म में प्रेजेंट है वो तो वही एंजाइम प्रोड्यूस करेंगे जो कि साइटोप्लाज्म के काम आने वाले हैं. कुछ एंजाइम्स रहेंगे या फिर कुछ प्रोटीन्स which are required for different purposes, whereas some proteins are actually synthesized by the ribosomes which are actually attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. So अगर तुम लोग को याद रहेगा in endoplasmic reticulum, I had explained you कि हाँ endoplasmic reticulum में प्रोटीन जाता है, it is kind of process, फिर vesicles बना के उसको from the it is released from the endoplasmic reticulum, फिर वो Golgi में जाता है, from the cis chain it is again released from the trans chain, and that's how the protein is actually processed, right? So the same thing happened here also. So whatever the ribosomes attached to the this particular organelles, they will produce a protein and then that will be transported outside the cell after processing from the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi bodies. So the example of such kind of proteins which are actually synthesized by this attached or the bound kind of ribosomes is the acinar cells of the pancreas. These are the cells which are actually present in the pancreatic area and they are responsible for producing the pancreatic digestive enzyme. So we all know in the process of digestion, there are three important places जहाँ पे digestion होता है, like जहाँ पे enzyme release होता है, to be more precise. So we all know we eat the food, फिर वो हम लोग we just chew it and then also crushing and all. Okay, finally it passes through the esophagus and goes into the stomach. Stomach में gastric juice होता है, there is a pepsinogen and all. They actually break down the food into smaller particles and it gets processed. फिर उसको आगे जाता है small intestine, large intestine, and there is somewhere there are different places जहाँ पे कहीं पे उसमें bile add होता है, कहीं पे वहाँ पे pancreatic juice add होता है. So all these kind of juices जो release होते हैं, so these actually help in the digestion process. And one of such kind of enzymes or a juice is a pancreatic juice, and which includes the pancreatic digestive enzyme produced by these acinar cells of the pancreas. Okay, and the ultimate goal of this all the enzymes is a digestion of the food. Okay, so And then one more interesting fact about these typical ribosomes is like we all know okay they can be present in a bound state or they can be present in a free state. तो कैसे भी हो free हो या bound हो but they are single units right. एक यूनिट रहेगा like single ribosome रहेगा उसका एक सब यूनिट रहेगा लार्ज सब यूनिट एक रहेगा स्मॉल सब यूनिट बट इन वॉट एवर द केसेस ये एक सिंगल सब यूनिट होता है. However, it was also observed that in certain cells, the ribosomes come together and they form a typical chain. Okay, तो एक के बाजू में एक ऐसे अटैच होते जाता है and they form a typical chain of ribosomes and this is called as a polyribosome and this actually helps in a protein synthesis. So the role of the ribosomes is the same, but then sometimes they are present also in a kind of polymer-like structure, and that's why they are called as a polyribosome. Gives a good amount of fast kind of protein synthesis, you can say. Okay, so that's about the ribosomes, and then there is okay, there is one diagram. Yeah. So before starting the diagram, yeah, let's finish up this first. So दैट्स ऑल अबाउट द बाउंड राइबोसोम के ओके वो एंडोप्लाज्मिक में अटैच रहेंगे गोल्गी में अटैच रहेंगे न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन में अटैच रहेंगे एंड दैट आर एक्चुअली हेल्पिंग इन प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस पर एज आई ऑलरेडी हैव मेंशन द सेम थिंग वापस यहाँ पे दिया है दैट द what happens with the free ribosome there is a free form of the ribosome so this actually produces the enzymatic proteins that are used up in the cytoplasm. For example, one of the example of such cases is a breakdown of the sugar. So if you remember, I have mentioned that pyruvate का acetylation होता है, but the pyruvate which is actually undergoing the acetylation in the perimitochondrial space itself is generated. वो खुद जब कैसे बनता है? Because in cytoplasm, glucose is break down into pyruvate by specific enzymes, and this process is called as glycolysis. तो glycolysis का जो reaction है वो actually होता है in a cytoplasm and all the enzymes responsible for this particular glycolysis process are synthesized by such ribosomes which are present in a cytoplasm and they help in the breakdown of the sugar which is mainly a glucose and we get the pyruvate. फिर जो pyruvate बनता है that actually enters the perimitochondrial space जहाँ पे उसका acetylation होता है and then the acetylated form that is the acetyl CoA then finally enters the mitochondria और आगे उसका Krebs cycle and the ETS and all takes place. Okay, but the moral of the story here कि difference क्या है bound and free में. So bound is attached to the endoplasmic reticulum and involved in synthesis of some special kind of proteins, whereas free ribosomes are involved in the production of certain kind of enzymes for the processes that actually takes place in a cytoplasm. Okay. Another interesting fact over here is like ये जो ribosome का position है like the bound है या फिर free है, it can be actually they can actually exchange or interchange with their function and the position. So sometimes it might happen that the free ribosome can go and attach to the endoplasmic reticulum and get the form of the bound ribosome. So that is also possible. So they actually can interchange their position and the function. Okay. However, the number of ribosomes depending on so you have to understand this fact. हम लोग का body is like a very complex process. Okay, or a complex system. So starting from my head to my toe there are multiple different cells, multiple different processes which are taking place. But ऐसा नहीं है ना कि हर एक सेल में हर एक प्रोसेस होना जरूरी है. It's not like that. There are some areas जहाँ पे कुछ particular proteins बनाना जरूरी होता है. There are some areas which are less active. There are some areas which are very highly active. So such things are always there. So depending on, let's say there is a particular area in my body जहाँ पे protein synthesis is very essential process और उसको बहुत ज़्यादा protein बनाना पड़ता है. तो such places, the number of ribosomes in a particular cell will be quite high. So depending on कि कौन से types of cell है उसका function क्या है, the number of ribosomes present within a cell can actually vary. Okay, so this is all about the ribosomes. Then there are this particular diagram which they have given. I already have told you about the 70S and the 80S difference. Okay, so there are two different subunits. You can see larger subunit and the smaller subunit. So these are actually present separately. But जब भी हम लोग को प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस बनाना होता है या फिर प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस करना पड़ता है this smaller and larger subunit assemble together to form an active form of ribosome, which will give us the particular protein. Okay. So in case of prokaryotes, the smaller subunit is a 30S and the larger subunit is a 50S. So what is the S stands for? ये मैंने बताया था पहले भी.
Svedberg unit.
Yeah, so this is Svedberg unit, which actually indicates what? The sedimentation coefficient. कि वो अगर हम लोग उसको centrifuge कर रहे हैं, I will tell you what is centrifugation and all, but just for now, just try to understand. अगर हम लोग उसको centrifuge कर रहे हैं, at what rate वो settle down हो रहा है? Okay, so that is what indicates its sedimentation coefficient. Okay, so these 30S and 50S units also have a different classification kind of thing. So 30S के भी again there are two parts, 16S rRNA, and then there are multiple other types. But in case of 50S, there are again 23S, 5S, and other 34 proteins. So one thing I would like you to keep in mind, 16S rRNA is a very important part of ribosome. Why? Because this kind of ribosome na is very conserved. मतलब ना let's say 50 साल पहले अगर कोई organism कोई बैक्टीरिया रहेगा और अब भी जो बैक्टीरिया रहेगा, तो इफ आई ट्राई टू कंपेयर 50 years ओल्ड वाला बैक्टीरिया विद द न्यू बैक्टीरिया, तो आई शुड कंपेयर देयर 16S rRNA. अगर 15S rRNA का सीक्वेंस सेम मिला, इट मींस बोथ आर ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर. अगर वो डिफरेंट है तो इट विल से कि बोथ आर नॉट सिमिलर. सो दैट्स हाउ नाउ वी ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द different types of bacteria and all. So that's why 16S rRNA identification is one of the very important technique which is currently used. So let's say now तुम लोग में से किसी ने कोई experiment किया, you found that तुम्हारे पानी में there are multiple types of bacteria which are present, और तुम लोग को भी पहचानना है कि वो जो बैक्टीरिया प्रेजेंट है in your water are harmful, are good, or what types of bacteria it is basically, क्या है वो. तो अगर मुझे तुम लोग को ये जानना है, तो you generally go for the 16S rRNA technique. So this is known as the 16S rRNA sequencing technique, जहाँ पे हम लोग वो बैक्टीरिया का 16S rRNA लेके उसको सीक्वेंस करते हैं, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू कैन आइडेंटिफाई कि हाँ ये बैक्टीरिया ये टाइप का है, या इसका नाम ये है, वो है, उसके ये प्रॉपर्टीज हो सकते हैं. ऑल द पॉसिबल इंफॉर्मेशन कैन बी ऑब्टेन by this typical 16S rRNA component of the 30S subunit of ribosome. Okay. Then comes the 50S, जहाँ पे उसके और दो different units है, 23S and 5S, and there are 34 more proteins which are present. Similarly, if you go for eukaryotes, so जैसे कि हमने देखा कि 30S में 16S rRNA था, so in case of eukaryotes, we do have the 18S rRNA. So when people go for sequencing this, अगर कुछ identification करना है तो, plus there are 33 more proteins which are present in the smaller subunit of this particular ribosome. Okay. Whereas the 60th subunit, which is the larger subunit of the eukaryotic ribosome, also have a 4 components, which includes 3 small units like 20S rRNA, 28S rRNA, 5.8S rRNA, and 5S rRNA, and plus there are other 50 proteins. I know you may get confused or you just mess up. ये क्या है, क्या बोल रहा है ये 28S, 5S, 50S, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. These are very बोलते हैं ना बहुत ज़्यादा स्टडी किया हुआ पार्ट है, एंड they just have given you in ऐसा एक टेबल में. I know it's quite difficult to digest कि समझ में नहीं आते हैं फटक से. That's absolutely fine. What you need to keep in mind for now, प्रोकैरियोट्स का राइबोसोम 70S होता है, यूकैरियोट्स का 80S रहता है. राइबोसोम के दो सब यूनिट्स होते हैं, स्मॉल सब यूनिट, लार्ज सब यूनिट. स्मॉल सब यूनिट इन केस ऑफ प्रोकैरियोट इज 30S and large is 50S. In case of eukaryote, it is 40S and the 60S. And even this small units and large unit is again have some kind of classification further. And the S stands for the sedimentation coefficient or the Svedberg unit, which is actually help in a characterizing purpose. So depending on to उसका sedimentation coefficient क्या है, we have tried to identify different components of this ribosomes, and that's how we study this particular cell organelle. So इतना ही याद रखना है. You don't need to worry much about this typical numbers about the 80S, 33. If you can remember it, obviously nothing better than that. सबसे अच्छी बात है वो. But अगर नहीं समझ में आ रहा है तो इतना टेंशन मत लो. Okay. So this is just for your understanding, for your information they have given. प्लस उसके बाद देर इज समथिंग, आई थिंक ये तुम लोग को ऑलरेडी भी पता है, दैट द एस इन द राइबोसोम का यूनिट स्टैंड्स फॉर द स्वेडबर्ग यूनिट. ओके, so this actually gives us the particle size. It is nothing but the measure of the sedimentation rate of a particle in an ultracentrifugation. Ultracentrifugation, like what is centrifugation now? मैं बहुत टाइम से, मैंने पहले भी बहुत बार बोला रहेगा सेंट्रीफ्यूज करो, सेंट्रीफ्यूगेशन करो, बट होता क्या है? तो सेंट्रीफ्यूज इज काइंड ऑफ अ मशीन जिसके अंदर देर आर स्मॉल स्मॉल सब ट्यूब्स रख सकते हो तुम लोग. तो यू ऑल मस्ट हैव सीन द टेस्ट ट्यूब, बट देन सेंट्रीफ्यूज में हम लोग टेस्ट ट्यूब यूज नहीं करते. देयर आर स्पेशल टाइप्स ऑफ द सेंट्रीफ्यूज वायर्स बोलते हैं उसको हम लोग. दीज आर प्लास्टिक वायर्स, प्लास्टिक ट्यूब्स बेसिकली, जिसको कैप रहता है. तो यू कैन एक्चुअली फिल इन द मटेरियल वॉट एवर यू वांट टू फिल इन. तो उसमें भर देने का ट्यूब्स में, ट्यूब्स को अच्छे से लॉक करने का, वो उसका जो कैप है तो टाइट करने का, एंड यू हैव टू पुट इट इन अ मशीन. और फिर जैसे ही तुम लोग मशीन ऑन करते हो, द मशीन एक्चुअली रोटेट्स एट वेरी हाई स्पीड. तो वो इतने जोर से घूमता है कि वॉट एवर पार्टिकल्स और वॉट एवर इम्प्योरिटीज यू आर हैविंग इन योर मटेरियल just get settled down. So it is nothing but using a centrifugal force for separating out the different material. Okay, so you can actually control the रोटेशन, दैट इज आरपीएम, रोटेशन पर मिनट, कितना घुमाना है वो कंट्रोल कर सकते हो, टाइम कंट्रोल कर सकते हो, स्पीड कंट्रोल कर सकते हो. तो ये सब हम लोग कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. बट देन बेस्ड ऑन दिस वी एक्चुअली ट्राई टू स्टडी ऑल डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ biological material. So centrifugation is one of the important key step in most of the biological sample, because बॉडी में ऐसा कुछ फिक्स नहीं है ना. हम लोग सेल्स भी लेके आए तो सेल्स में भी देयर आर 100 अदर थिंग्स. तो we need to separate the cells. So with using the centrifugation process, you can actually separate out mitochondria, you can separate out the plastids, you can separate out different organelles. So depending on controlling the different speed and the time, हम लोग ये सब भी separate कर सकते हैं, which is very difficult otherwise. Okay, so that's why this process is important. और ये क्या मेजर करता है? It actually measures the density and the size of a particle. So whenever we say Swedberg, the 1s actually stands for 10 raised to minus 13 second. So if sometime they might ask you for the conversion unit, so that's how we do the conversion. Whenever there is a 1s, 1s stands is equal to 10 raised to minus 13 second. So sometime they might ask you the question in a second and they might ask you to convert into Swedberg. So you just need to do the ulta classification calculation. It is not very difficult. This is not for like ऐसा question तुम लोग को बोर्ड में नहीं पूछेंगे, but they might ask you for the NEET and any other competitive exam. Okay, so keep the conversation in the conversion in the mind. 1 Swedberg is equal to 10 raised to minus 13 second. Okay, so that's all about the ribosomes. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. But before going ahead, there is one interesting fact just for your understanding. There is nothing to like ऐसा तुम लोग के लिए like just I think you should know. So because the scientists who had actually done the study and won the Nobel Prize for this particular invention or discovery is from the India. So basically to say from India is like we can say कि हाँ इंडिया से है बट करेंटली ही इज इन यूएसए. तो अभी वो यहाँ के सिटीजन है बट ही इज फ्रॉम इंडियन ओरिजिन बेसिकली. सो हिज नेम इज वेंकी. मतलब he is very commonly known as a Venki, but his name is Venkatraman Ramakrishnan, who actually has won the Nobel Prize in chemistry, one of the very prestigious, highly reputed kind of prize in a scientific world. Nobel Prize he had won in a chemistry in the year 2009 for explaining the structure and working of the ribosome, कि वो कैसे है, उसका फंक्शन क्या है, वो काम कैसे करते हैं, वो सब इन्होंने एक्सप्लेन किया था. And it was actually done with the another two scientists जिनका नाम था एडा योनत from the Israel and the Thomas States from USA. So I'm telling you this because Venki is our own like scientist. So he has done his higher studies like masters and all from the Gujarat basically. So that's very kind of proud thing for us that one of our scientists is doing such a good work. Okay, so that's all about the ribosomes. So if you are having any kind of doubt, any queries और ऐसा कोई part है जो नहीं समझा, कोई word है you are not able to analyze, whatever, do not hesitate and you can ask me now. yes. If you are not asking me question, it means कि तुम लोग एक तो सो रहे हो या फिर तुम लोग को सब समझ में आ रहा है. So कोई भी केस होगा तो I can just take it out by asking you any questions. So if you are having any doubts, तुम लोग पहले ही पूछो before I ask you questions to revise the thing. Okay, so no, it means सबको सब कुछ समझा है. You have no doubts from the ribosome part, right?
सर
Yes.
Yeah, Manali.
सर वो 50s में RRNA डबल डबल क्यों लिखा है, मतलब एक ही में क्यों नहीं इंक्लूड किया?
सॉरी, मतलब ये क्वेश्चन नहीं समझा. 50s में
23S RRNA लिखा है, फिर वापस 5S RRNA लिखा है, तो अलग अलग टाइप्स है क्या वो?
हाँ, एक्चुअली सो बेसिकली जो 50s RRNA है उसके भी स्मॉल यूनिट्स थे. इट्स उसके भी स्मॉल कंपोनेंट थे. तो उसका जो एक कंपोनेंट है दैट इज 23S RNA. मतलब वो 23S मतलब वो अलग, उसका डेंसिटी उसका साइज अलग है. उसका जो सेकंड कंपोनेंट है दैट इज 5S RNA. मतलब उसका साइज और उसका डेंसिटी इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द 23S RNA. So that's why they are written differently because of two different components.
ओके सर,
Yeah.
थैंक यू.
और कुछ?
नो सर.
Yeah, great. और किसी को कुछ पूछना है? Anyone else? Great. So I think there are no doubts. So I will continue. So now we are entering in one of the very important kind of cell organelle. I think सब लोग को पता है the most important one, the controlling center of the cell and all is nucleus. So अभी तक हम लोग ने जो भी ऑर्गेनेल स्टडी किए they were kind of small, एक दो स्लाइड्स में खत्म हो रहे थे. But nucleus is something is very important one because it has a DNA, which is a controlling center we can say, and there are multiple components of the nucleus. So it's a kind of bada topic basically, and you need to pay attention to understand uska each and every point. Okay, so now what is nucleus? Nucleus is a controlling center of a cell. Okay, and depending on कि वो कौन से type of cell में है, so there are different non-dividing cells है, there are dividing cell है. Depending on कौन सा type of cell है, the structure and the position of nucleus can actually vary. So non-dividing types of cell, they only have a one single phase of nucleus, जो जैसे पहले से था till the end of the cell, मतलब जब तक वो cell viable है तब तक वो nucleus वैसे ही रहेगा. So the example of such cells that is a non-dividing cell is a neuron. Neuron cannot divide, right? Neurons cannot divide. एक बार जो produce हो गए तो वो वैसे ही रहते हैं for whatever lifespan they are having. उसके बाद नए neurons generate हो जाते हैं, but they cannot divide. So that is one example of non-dividing cell. तो उनका जो nucleus होता है that is in a one state only. But there are dividing cells like somatic cells and all. They actually have different phases. So you know interphase होता है, M phase होता है, फिर interphase में भी there are G phase, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase. I hope you have done the cell division part, right? You लोग को पता है ये सब.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, great. So because while explaining the nucleus part, I will talk many cell division का steps and all. So अगर किसी को भी कोई doubt रहेगा at any point, you can just let me know कि ये पता नहीं है या फिर ये पढ़ाया नहीं करेगा. Okay. So what I was trying to convey that the nucleus का structure and all depending on वो कौन से cells में it depends on that particular fact. So when I talk about dividing cells, the nucleus actually can undergo different forms. So interface में there are different way. फिर जब जैसे ही वो M phase में जाता है, let's say mitosis कर रहा है, तो there is something called as there are 4 important phases of mitosis. Can you please tell me? Or let's say there are 4 important phases of karyokinesis, to be more precise. Can you please name the 4 important phases of karyokinesis?
Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase.
Yeah, so it is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and the telophase. That is correct. So basically, each cell when it's undergo division, there are two important phases, interphase and the M phase. M phase is again having the two major phases, karyokinesis and the cytokinesis.
Cytokinesis.
Yeah, so karyokinesis में there are four important phases. Cytokinesis में there is a division of the cytoplasm. What is the meaning of karyokinesis by the way? क्या उसका मतलब है?
Nuclear
Division of nucleus.
Yes. So that's what is the important point here. Karyokinesis में there is a division of, there is a nuclear division basically. So that's why the nucleus undergo different phases. So सबसे पहले we all know प्रोसेस में उसका nuclear membrane गायब हो जाता है. Then metaphase में there is a highly condensed state. Then there is a separation, disjunction, and finally telophase के बाद there are two separate nucleus which are present. So all the dividing cells show this kind of changes which actually happens within a cell. Okay, but then there are few cells जिसमें ये नहीं होता है, and those cells are called as non-dividing cell. Okay, also again now when I say division also, so division also there are two major types of cell division. What are the two major types of cell division?
Mitosis, meiosis.
Yeah, what is the basic difference in mitosis and meiosis?
Meiosis occurs
Gamma.
only in germ cell and mitosis occurs in every cell.
In chromosomes,
Yeah,
haploid cells and
yes. So not in chromosomes, but then it as he mentioned germ cells. So chromosomes तो दोनों में भी होता है, division दोनों में भी होता है, but there is one important point you all need to keep in mind when you
In the
discuss-
mitosis,
Haploid,
nucleus
diploid.
divides only once, and in meiosis, nucleus divides twice.
Yeah, so
Haploid cells are formed in mitosis. Diploid cells are formed in meiosis.
now you have said ulta. Haploid in a meiosis and
Yes.
diploid in a mitosis.
Yes.
Mitosis.
Yeah, that's okay. So you know the basic. I got your point. The only thing I want to add up in the whatever you have said. Whenever I say mitosis, it is a equational kind of डिवीजन. तो जितना नंबर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम्स उसके पेरेंट में रहेगा उतना ही ऑफस्प्रिंग में रहेगा. दैट्स व्हाई वी से ना माइटोसिस हेल्प्स इन द मेंटेनेंस ऑफ द डिप्लॉइडी. तो डिप्लॉइडी लेवल होता है मेंटेन. However, meiosis is called as a reductional
Division.
because there is a reduction in the number of chromosomes in the offspring. So that's why you all know all the germ cells. Germ cells, whenever I say germ cells, they are diploid, but whenever they undergo meiosis, they produces the gametes, which are actually haploids. So gametes in case of male sperms, in case of female egg cells. So all of these particular cells are actually haploid in nature. That is, they only contain one set of chromosomes. Whereas in case of diploid, there are two sets of chromosomes. What are the number of chromosomes in a human beings?
46.
46.
46, sure. Human beings.
No,
23 pairs. 23 pairs.
Yes,
Yeah. So
X and Y.
Yes. So that's correct. 23 pairs, that is 46 chromosomes are present in a human beings. Out of the 46, or let's say out of the 23 pairs, 22 pairs are called as autosomes. That is, they are responsible for division of different somatic characters. However, the 23rd pair, which contains either XX or XY, which is a sex chromosome pair, and that is responsible for determining the sex of the offspring. So that is correct. So this is just to give you information about the basics of the nuclear division and the chromosomes and all. Okay. Now coming back to the core. Now ये तो सब अलग next part हो जाएगा. You know division होता है, division of chromosomes होता है, and all that is the second part. But the first part is ये जो nuclear division हो रहा है, ये nucleus होता क्या है? What all components are there in the nucleus and how they are actually working? Okay. So whenever I say a typical nucleus, now we are discussing more of in the terms of the interphase nucleus, that is the dividing cells ka nucleus. Okay. So there are four important components in a nucleus, basically in a eukaryotic nucleus, which includes nuclear envelope, nucleoplasm, nucleolus, and chromatin network. Okay, nuclear envelope, matlab the covering of the nucleus. Nucleoplasm, matlab the cytoplasm which is present within the nucleus is called as nucleoplasm. Nucleolus, matlab the small controlling center, not controlling center, but a small unit present within the nucleus, which is mainly involved in the ribosome synthesis and all. And the final one is the chromatin network, that is the DNA. okay, or the RNA. But generally DNA only will talk in case of eukaryotic cells or the mammalian cells. Okay, so these are the DNA is one of the important, because we all know जो भी हमारे बॉडी के कैरेक्टर्स है, जो भी फीचर्स है, everything is controlled by the DNA. Okay, and that's what makes the nucleus one of the important center of the cell. Okay, so if you want to see the four components कैसे present है, so this is a typical structure, a cartoon image of the nucleus. Basically you can see a spherical one, outer membrane called as nuclear membrane. There is a nucleoplasm, which is nothing but the cytoplasm within the nucleus. Then the small circular units, nucleolus, and then there are some holes, that small pores within the in the nuclear membrane, which are called as the nuclear pore. Okay, और यहीं पे कहीं पे तो और nuclear DNA is present, which is in a form of the chromatin network. Okay, so now we'll go one by one and try to understand what is the role of nuclear envelope and then nuclear pores and all whatever they have been given. Okay, so now nuclear envelope क्या होता है? It is again a double layered kind of structure which is separated by the perinuclear space. Double layered है तो दो layers, दो membranes के बीच में जो space है, that is called as the perinuclear space. In case of nuclear membrane, it was observed that the space between the two layers is around 10 to 15 nanometer. Okay, the outer membrane of the nucleus is generally attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. So if you remember the ER part, one end is attached to the nuclear membrane and the other end of the endoplasmic reticulum is attached to what?
Cell membrane.
Yeah, cell membrane. That's the correct answer. So that's how it is actually attached to the other end. And then it also, as we all know, जैसे कि जैसे कि endoplasmic reticulum के ऊपर ribosomes are attached, there are some kind of ribosomes which are also attached to the nuclear membrane. Okay, so that is all about the outer membrane. Then what happens with the inner membrane of the nuclear membrane or a nuclear envelope? So the inner membrane is also lined by a specific protein called as a nuclear lamina. Okay, so what is nuclear lamina? It is nothing but a network of the fiber. So these are specifically protein fibers, and these are the proteins or these are the fibers which are actually responsible for maintaining the shape of the nucleus. So whatever shape generally we observe in a circular or a spherical kind of shape जो हम लोग देखते हैं, that is all because of this nuclear lamina which is present in the inner membrane of a nuclear envelope. One thing we all should understand that the nuclear membrane जो है, जो उसका outer covering है basically, that is not a continuous one. मतलब वैसा पूरा covered नहीं करता. However, there are small openings in the nuclear membrane and that openings are called as the nucleopores. Okay. Now, why do we need the nuclear pores? Because if you remember, मैंने सेंट्रल डोग्मा में दो important processes का नाम लिया था. Can you please tell me? Can anyone of you just raise your hand and tell me what is central dogma and what are those two important processes? Yes, Nikita is there, but is there anyone else? और कोई है जिसको समझ में आया था और would like to answer for all? Yes, more. Sharon is also there. और कोई है? Asta, Aditi, Ajit, Anirudh, Aryan. There are 58 of you here. So why only Nikita, Sharon, Ajinkya always? बाकी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? No one? Okay. Nikita, tell me what you understood from the central dogma.
The two main processes in central dogma is transcription and translation.
Yes, that's absolutely correct answer. Two important processes in central dogma is the transcription and translation. Transcription क्या करता है? DNA को mRNA में convert करता है, and translation.
RNA to a protein.
Yeah, so that's the correct
with
answer.
the help of ribosome.
Yes. So because ट्रांसक्रिप्शन का काम है टू कन्वर्ट डीएनए इनटू द एमआरएनए और डीएनए प्रेजेंट होता है इन द न्यूक्लियस. तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक ट्रांसक्रिप्शन का प्रोसेस कहाँ पे होता है, कहाँ पे होगा? व्हाट विल बी द लोकेशन ऑफ द ट्रांसक्रिप्शन, कहाँ पे हो सकता है?
Nucleus.
Yes, so that's the right answer. So the transcription process takes place inside the nucleus. But जो mRNA बनता है और जो आगे का proteins बनता है from the by the process of translation, that cannot take place inside the nucleus because the conditions which are required are not favorable. You can say there are multiple factors involved. But let's for now, for the sake of understanding, let's say कि जो conditions inside nucleus that are not favorable for protein synthesis to take place. Also, प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस के लिए जो राइबोसोम्स लगते हैं दोज आर नॉट प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द न्यूक्लियस, वो तो बाहर ही है. तो ऑब्वियसली द राइबोसोम्स सॉरी द एमआरएनए व्हिच इज प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय ट्रांसक्रिप्शन needs to come out from the nucleus in order to synthesize the protein because ribosomes are present outside the nucleus. So ये जो mRNA भी बना है inside the nucleus from the DNA has to come out, and ये बाहर कहाँ से आएगा फिर for coming out this nucleopores actually helps. So these are a small opening through which the mRNA can come out from the nucleus. Okay, but it's not like कि वो हमेशा ही ओपन रहेगा. ऐसा नहीं कि वो आओ जाओ घर तुम्हारा काइंड ऑफ थिंग. नो, इट इज हाईली रेगुलेटेड काइंड ऑफ प्रोसेस, and the nuclear pores are actually guarded by the pore complexes which are nothing but the proteins which actually regulate कि कब क्या अंदर जाएगा कब क्या बाहर आएगा. So it actually regulates the flow of substances from the nucleus to cytoplasm and the cytoplasm to nucleus. So किसको अंदर भेजना है किसको बाहर भेजना है, ये सब actually very highly regulated process and it is done by the pore complex. Okay, so that's all about the nuclear envelope. The next important component of the nucleus assembly or nucleus uh, organelle is a nucleoplasm, that is the cytoplasm present inside the nucleus. It is also known as a karyolymph. Okay, karyo nucleus, lymph, matlab again the fluid-like material. Okay, so this is the cytoplasm within the nucleus which contains various other substances like nucleic acid, that is your DNA, protein molecules, some kind of minerals and salts. That is let's say there are some ions like manganese ion, calcium ions which are required for multiple process happening. So all these things are actually present within the nucleoplasm. Okay, it also contains the chromatic network, that is nothing but again the DNA, and the nucleolus. Okay, so nucleolus is another component which is not bound by cell membrane. So this is like within the nucleolus is present and it is not really attached to any kind of membrane, not attached to any kind of cell membrane. So not a main part of the endomembrane system really. Okay, so that is all about nucleoplasm. It contains different components like the protein molecules, minerals, and the salts. Now let's go in detail. Now what is the role of this nucleolus जो कि present है inside the nucleoplasm? तो उसका भी कुछ फंक्शन होना ही चाहिए, right? Sorry. Yeah. So nucleolus. So it is actually again made up of the rRNA and the ribosomal protein, and it is best known as the site for ribosome biogenesis, or you can say ribosome synthesis. Okay. So अगर किसी ने पूछा कि ribosomes कहाँ पे बनते हैं, what is the site for ribosome biogenesis? So the answer is nucleolus. Okay. So now, but then depending on what type of cell it is and what is its activity, there can be one or more nucleoli present within the nucleoplasm. So one of the example is like its size also vary. So example is like if you see the oocyte, that is again the female gamete, the nucleolus which is present is quite a large in a size. Okay, so you can actually visualize the nucleolus inside the microscope. But if you go for the counterpart, that is the sperm cells, which is a male gamete, the nucleus is very inconspicuous, like it's not visible even. It's like both come very small it is, and it is not that visible inside the microscope also. So that is the difference. So depending on कौन सा cell है, क्या function है, क्या activity है, उसका size, उसका number can also vary. Okay. And अगर हम लोग को उसको observe करना है inside the microscope, so you will see if you are staining the cells, you can see observe as a dense spherical bodies which are present near the chromatin network. So we actually have a different staining process. staining process मतलब actually use different dyes, different colors, coloring agent, which can go and bind to the specific entity within the nucleus, and then you can observe कि हाँ यहाँ पे न्यूक्लियोलस है, यहाँ पे न्यूक्लियोप्लाज्म है, यहाँ पे न्यूक्लियर DNA है. All those things can be done. Okay, so as I mentioned, the nucleus is involved in synthesis of ribosomal RNA and proteins, which are then transported to the cytoplasm, जहाँ पे these particular components or the subunits are actually assembled to form the complete unit of the ribosome. So in case of eukaryotes, it is 40S and the 60S. दोनों को भी nucleus में बनाया जाता है, and they are then transported out of the nucleus through the nuclear pores, and then जब जैसे ही वो लोग बाहर आते हैं, depending on the requirement, the two subunits can be then assembled to form the complete ribosome. Okay, so that is the role of the nucleolus inside a cell. Then comes the very important and the last component, that is the chromatin material. Chromatin material, nothing but the DNA. Okay, so the nucleus contains the genetic information. That's why it is very important, as I am saying from the last many lectures. Okay, तो ये जो chromatin network है और the genetic information है जो कि nucleus के अंदर present है, that is nothing but the chromosome. Okay, so it is present in the form of chromosome, and you can actually observe. Okay, you can actually observe the 46 chromosome inside the cell. Actually, I forgot to add up the image, but then मैंने खुद ही experiment किया है. We actually collect the blood samples जिससे हम लोग WBCs collect करते हैं, that is the white blood cells, and then we try to break down the cells. We try to break down the nuclear membrane, and then you can actually release all the 46 chromosome out. और तुम लोग you can observe it on under microscope that there are 46 chromosomes of different sizes. So it is very nice to see. They are colored basically. वो हम लोग typical stain use करते हैं, call it Giemsa stain, which is a blue colored stain. So all the 46 chromosomes you can observe under microscope, which are colored in a blue. So it is quite difficult to get this particular or do this particular experiment. But then जब वो chromosome slides पे दिखते हैं, that is kind of ना victory of life. बहुत कुछ बड़ा काम करने जैसा feeling आ जाता है. So this is very interesting to know. So these chromosomes are nothing but the DNA molecules which are actually associated with proteins, because we all have 46 chromosomes, right? 46 chromosome. और अगर तुम लोग DNA का size, this is a kind of homework for you. चलो, homework is like, what is the size of DNA in human beings? Okay, did you understand the question? What is the size of DNA in human beings? And whenever you will find whenever you will search it on the internet or wherever you read it, you will get answers in a 2 units. So either you will get in a base pair or a kilo base pair. So I want you to note down base pair like BP, kilo base pair, that is a KB, or sometimes you might get answer in a terms of meter or centimeter. So whatever form you are getting the answer, just note it down whenever you get time, and then we can discuss it in the last time. So okay, so you just search it down. But now I'm telling you why I'm asking you to do it. So if you just take up the size of DNA within a particular cell, it goes around 2 meters. I hope I'm clear. मैंने बोला the size of total DNA inside a particular cell goes around 2 meters. Now just imagine जो हम लोग का normal size है of cell है, कितना होता है eukaryotic cell का size? Can anyone tell me? Approximately average size of a eukaryotic cell कितना होता है? Okay, so it is on an average 5 to 12 micrometer somewhere. अभी सेल का ही साइज इन माइक्रोमीटर, उसके अंदर ऑलरेडी इतना सब कुछ है. साइटोप्लाज्म में देयर आर 100 अदर ऑर्गेनेल्स आर प्रेजेंट, एंड देन देयर इज अ न्यूक्लियस. फिर न्यूक्लियस इसका साइज इज अराउंड इतना छोटा, और उसके अंदर 2 मीटर का डीएनए को हम लोग को फिट करना है. तो जस्ट इमेजिन हाउ द सेल इज taking up all this such a big DNA inside the न्यूक्लियस कैसे फिट होगा? Isn't it थोड़ा सा interesting fact? It is very like difficult process, but still the nature has designed and have processed or have controlled different parameters and also that such a big thing is actually present inside the small nucleus. और ये प्रोसेस को हम लोग बोलते हैं एंड दैट्स व्हाई अगर मुझे इतना सारा चीज इतने छोटू से न्यूक्लियस में अगर फिट करना है, आई हैव टू डू द पर्टिकुलर पैकिंग, पर अच्छे से उसको पैक करना होगा एंड दैट्स व्हाई द प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व डिफरेंट प्रोटीन्स एंड ऑल व्हिच मेक्स अ टिपिकल क्रोमोसोम व्हिच आर एक्चुअली प्रेजेंट इनसाइड द nucleus. Okay, now in a case of non-dividing cells, the chromosome actually appears as a thread-like network and that can be actually identified. Okay, but in case of dividing cells, as I mentioned, we have a metaphase, we have a prophase, जहाँ पे you can actually observe the separate chromosomes. Okay, so ये जो thread-like material जो present होता है inside the cell, which is generally observed in the interface of all the cells, is called as a chromatin network. Okay, and apart from this chromatin network, there are other materials which are present in this particular area, that is like DNA, histone and the non-histone proteins and the RNA. The DNA is basically the genetic information and the histone and the non-histone proteins are something which actually helping in the packaging of a DNA so that the DNA can fit in into the small nucleus. Okay. So when we talk about the chromatin, that is the DNA inside the cell, there are some area of the DNA which is highly active and is actually a functional part, we can say. So and have a more amount of DNA. So such part is called as a euchromatin. So when I say chromatin, na, so it includes DNA, histone and non-histone protein and multiple other things. But within the chromatin, जहाँ पे ज़्यादा amount of DNA present रहेगा and which is active basically, or transcriptionally active is the word we generally use. It is called as a euchromatin. And the part where the chromatin, the part with the chromatin, जहाँ पे DNA is present very less. So less amount of DNA is present, but the more amount of proteins are present, and they are not that active genetically or transcriptionally, and such part is called as a heterochromatin. So please try to understand the difference. The chromatin maybe there are two parts, euchromatin and the heterochromatin. Euchromatin is a genetically active part, and the heterochromatin is a genetically inactive part. For now, I don't want to go in detail with the euchromatin and the heterochromatin because that is already there in your 12th standard chapter. So we will study that whenever you go in that chapter. अभी के लिए try to understand the basics that nucleus के पास there are important 4 components. It includes what? Nuclear envelope, it includes nucleoplasm, it includes nucleolus and the chromatin material. Okay. Finally, with that, the components of the nucleus are done. So if you go and see the typical structure of the nucleus, so that's how it is looking. See, so a spherical structure, double membrane, which there are pores called as nucleopores. You can see small opening over here, right? Then the thread-like material, which is nothing but the chromatin nucleus. Then karyolim, nothing but the nucleoplasm, and perinuclear space. Then there is some part which is highly rich in DNA, which is called as euchromatin, some part which is highly rich in protein, but less amount of DNA called as heterochromatin and all. So that's the typical structure of a nucleus. Okay. So when the cell typically prepares to divide, in case of dividing cell, the chromosome coils and get condensed. So that's why ये जो chromatic network था, जो thread-like structure था, which is generally visible in which is generally in a form of thread in a interface, then just get condensed, and that's how we get the typical X-shaped chromosome in the metaphase and the anaphase and the telophase like structure. Okay, so that's why the particular condensation process is there, because then the cell, we have different components. The cell needs to get condensed so that there will be proper division. अगर ऐसे ही हमने thread like form में अगर division हुआ, which is obviously not possible, but just imagine अगर वैसे ही अगर cell divide करने की कोशिश करेगा, there will be a huge mess, because कौन सा part divide हो रहा है, कौन सा नहीं हो रहा है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा. And that's why the DNA needs to get condensed in order to get replicated. Okay, and metaphase is the only phase of the cell division जहाँ पे all the 46 chromosomes are clearly visible and they are highly condensed so that you can actually identify each and every chromosome. अगर तुमको कोई भी chromosome का study करना है, the best phase of the cell division is a metaphase. Okay, and the number of chromosomes within a particular cell are actually fixed, or within a particular species basically. So human beings में it is 46, chimpanzees में 48 रहेगा. In case of onion, it's 16. इसमें कुछ और. So depending on कौन सा different species है, the number of chromosomes varies. So that becomes one of the characteristic feature by which we can actually identify a particular species. So अगर मुझे बोलना है कि हाँ ड्रोसोफिला देखना है मुझे, ड्रोसोफिला nothing but the फ्रूट फ्लाइज, जो सब लोगों ने देखा रहेगा बनाना के ऊपर जो स्मॉल फ्लाइज आते हैं ब्लैक कलर के, उसका नाम इज फ्रूट फ्लाइज और साइंटिफिकली वी कॉल इट ड्रोसोफिला मेलानोगास्ट्रा. So that small fruit fly also have a 8 chromosomes inside it. The insect मिला जिसका क्रोमोसोम नंबर 8 है. तो आई विल जस्ट गो एंड सर्च आउट कि कौन से ऑर्गेनिजम्स में number of chromosome is 8. Then I might get the 5 to 10 organisms. Then I will find out हाँ फिर कौन सा ऐसा है कि जो बनाना के ऊपर घूमते रहता है. Then I might get again 4 names. Then in that way we go in narrow down the particular list and finally हम लोग को एक final answer मिलता है and that is the final name of the organism. Okay, so this is not a very confirmatory, but yes, one of the important steps to identify a particular species. Okay. And in case of human beings, there are 46 chromosomes. And then we will stop here. Of the nucleus.